Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of your Frederish podcast. My name's Gary, and today we're going to talk about dreams. Yes, this is a very sweet word, interesting word. The concept is just wonderful. Like, who doesn't have dreams? And I'm not only talking about the ones you have when you're awake, but specifically, let me just rephrase it. Yes, I want to go over, and talk about the daydreams, so to say, the dreams like Dr. King's, for example. But today I want to talk specifically about the thoughts that keep going in our head while we're asleep. Okay, this kind of dream is what I'm going to talk about today. So, just as usual, go grab your cup of coffee, your soda. It's a sunny, uh, chilly, and pretty pleasant day, autumn day. So, go grab your cup of coffee. I already have mine here, and also water. Let's not forget to keep hydrate. It's important. And then just let's just go for it. Hope everything's just fantastic in your life, and let's go for it and talk a little bit about it. Let's do it. I think it's not necessary to ask if you have dreams. Both types of dreams, as I'm saying, like the awake dreams and the sleeping dreams, you know, um, we all have both, right? No matter how pessimistic of a person one may be, at least one dream this person will have. Be that buying a new car or buying better clothes or finding a better job. But they will be there. If people say they don't have any type of objective, let's just separate the two types of dreams by objectives and the the dream, right? If someone says that they don't have any targets or any objectives in life, uh, well, I respectfully keep me in the right to believe, to think, to presume that this person is lying, to himself or herself. All right, we all have dreams, okay? But as I said before, today my target here is to talk about the natural process, the natural mental process. You know, I can't even think of the technical word. I think it's a cognitive process. But anyways, it goes inside our head, right? This thing, is a very interesting thing because it is related to many hard to explain things, like premonitions, like contact with people that have already passed away, or close people, family people, um, inspirations. Some people, there are plenty of stories of authors and musicians and artists in general that have had dreams telling them how to do something, how to overcome an existing obstacle. So yeah, there's plenty of mystery involved in the dreaming area, right? Um, so let me know from you, okay? Have you ever had a premonition dream? That is like you dream of something and then it comes to pass. Have you ever had an inspiration dream? Like you're going through hard in your job, in your studies, whatever. You're going through a tough situation. You're going, you know, in an impassing situation, and then you don't know what to do. Okay, and then you go to bed and have a shut eye, as they say. You start sleeping. You have a good night of sleep, and then you wake up the next day with the answer. Or even you dream of the answer and wake up like, hey, let's try it out. And you try it out and it works. Has this ever happened to you? Or like talking to someone in your family. I don't want to go to the spiritualistic side of it, but let's That's that. There's no way we cannot do that by touching, by talking, by going through this specific point. But like, if you're like, have you ever had an encounter, have a meeting of whatever it is with someone in your family that's long gone, like a grandfather or grandmother or an uncle or parents? So yeah, in my case, I have had interesting dreams, very interesting dreams, but not one that I can like, you know, um, blow your mind by telling you the story. The closest thing in my personal experience I have to a mind blowing dreaming situation happened to my father. Okay, if I am to take what he said as the truth, as a true story, which I really believe. I never saw my dad lying, not like just out of the blue. So I totally tend to believe that what he said is true. Okay, but if let me just tell you this, like that happened about 20 years ago. We were in the country visiting, on vacation, visiting family, which is something totally unusual. Okay, which is a trip we did half a dozen times in our entire lives. So yeah, it wasn't like something that we would go like every weekend. It was not a place that we would go like on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. No, much to the contrary, once a year, not even that. Again, about 20 years ago, I was like 11 in the days, back in the days. So all right, so I was walking, just like any kid does. And my dad was sitting, smoking and looking at a bird cage. He used to have birds back in the days. He doesn't anymore. But and then he just calls me the moment I passed in front of him, and he just told me that he had a dream 20 years before that situation that day, with that very same picture of me passing in front of the bird's cage. All right, in front of him, of course, but blocking momentarily the bird's cage. So 20 years before, when I was like 11 or 12, so it means that he had the dream way before I was even born. Okay, so what might have it been? Coincidence? Maybe. Who knows? Maybe it's a just pure and interesting coincidence. I believe coincidences exist, by the way. Of course, that's a fact. But it might have been a premonitory dream. Okay, this is the closest thing I got in a personal basis. Okay, but there is one thing that I would like to say and just keep you thinking. We forget most of our dreams. All right. I myself, like, I dream every night, but I unless I wake up for some reason in the middle of the night or in the middle of the dream, I end up forgetting it, because the moment I open my eyes, everything that is important, that is, all the responsibilities come riding their horses towards me, and I can't help but pay attention to them, and I end up forgetting the dreams I had during the night. My point here being, we probably, if premonitory dreams are true, are something that really occur, really happen, which does not mean that every dream you have is a premonitory, like that's separate things. But if they're real things, which I tend to believe they are, we end up forgetting most of them. Okay, but the one situation, but anyways, nevertheless, my personal experience with dreaming never had me doing anything, ordinary, or I never dreamt of something that end up happening, but I heard directly from people, the example of my father, Also with friends that say like, hey, I dreamed something and then the other day it happened, you know, which again, I have absolutely no reason to believe that they were lying. If they lied about it, there was no point. There was no, like, they didn't get anything from it, you know. Had they got anything, had they gotten received anything out of telling that story, I would be suspicious about it, you know, like, just like, no, probably he's making that up, you know. But also, of course, situations with other people that are not totally directed to me, people that dream that they will die in a certain manner and it ends up happening, you know. So, well, this is really, that really gives me the goosebumps. And no matter how skeptical you are, okay, if you don't know the word skeptical is a person that only believes in what they see, what they can touch, okay. This is a skeptical, in Portuguese, cético, okay. So if you're a skeptical person, okay, no problem, but let us just sit and think that, well, like, there's so many situations that we can relate. I could only be talking about these situations, you know, these stories and situations, some of them recorded on camera, you know, with famous people, like the keyboard player of Mamonas Assassinas. If you remember, when they died, a few hours before the accident, he got recorded on a camera, on a friend's camera, saying that he had dreamed about it, like the plane would crash, you know. Again, coincidence? Maybe, but you know, there's so many not exact situations, but similar in terms of like premonitory situations that even considering that we forget, as I said before, we forget that 90% of the dreams we have, like, probably if we wouldn't forget all the dreams we have, if everyone was to remember all of our dreams, there would be many more, you know. And again, I pose the question again, coincidence? Maybe, some of them may be coincidence, but I find it very hard to say that all of them are coincidence and there's absolutely nothing about our dreams, you know. It's all things of our minds. I mean, they are things of our minds, but how connected they are to reality, you know. Like, I find it very difficult to believe that there is no connection, you know, with a spiritual world, a secondary world, whatever you may call it. But I personally believe that there's something there. With all due respect for those who disagree, that's okay. We're here to talk and to agree and disagree, right? Most of all, we're here to practice English. You guys know that. Well, there is a very interesting category of dreaming called lucid dreams, okay? I don't know if you ever heard about it. You have heard this definition, this thing. I have a good friend who is a kind of a specialist, if there is such thing, of course, about lucid dreaming. That is basically the ability that one can develop to start dreaming, go to bed normally, and then start dreaming and being able to understand that they're dreaming, okay? And this is a very interesting thing, you know. Like, I wish I could do that every night, but as far as I understand, it requires a consistent meditation habit, okay? Like, you have to have your mind mentally balanced enough, you know, in order to do that. But it's very nice because, like, think with me, like, we dream every night. Some nights we have very good dreams, sometimes not so much. But during the very good ones, wouldn't it be nice to be able to, like, you know, be your own god inside our own dream, like doing whatever you want? That would be interesting. This friend of mine has got pretty interesting stories. Maybe I will invite them with the permission of Federation administration here, of course. to make a cameo, make a special featuring here in the podcast just to talk about the lucid dreamings. This is very nice. I had this experience years and years ago. I was a teenager. I spoke to a colleague, to a friend, whatever, an acquaintance. And this person mentioned that, again, about 15, 17 years ago. I spoke with this colleague of mine, and then he started talking about it out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it, but it was a very intelligent, very progressive mind, this young friend of mine. And then he mentioned this, and he said a very interesting thing. Like, he said, like, in order, I don't know if it's true, okay? I never got to ask my friend I mentioned earlier, the lucid dreaming expert, if this is true or not. But he said that in order to understand if you're really dreaming, you have to look at your belly button, okay, umbigo, belly button, and if there is a silver cord, okay, getting out of there, it means you're probably really dreaming, like you're having a lucid dream, okay. Oh, I forgot to say the most important part of lucid dreamings. The whole concept behind, I don't know if this is my lucid dream expert ever mentioned that, but there is a combo about spiritualistic point of view, of course, that, because according to spiritualistic point of view, which I like and respect and I'm curious about, there sometimes you're dreaming and sometimes your spirit is leaving your body, okay, to wander, okay, around, which is a natural and even healthy thing, okay. And this is the whole thing, that I'm talking about, my personal experience with lucid dreaming. This colleague of mine, this young colleague of mine, 17 years ago, 15 years ago, said that this was the trick to know if you were having a regular dream or if your soul was, or if your soul is really out of the body and wandering around. So during the very same night, I had the conversation with that friend during the day, again, about 17 years ago. And then I went home and, regular daily stuff, went to bed, slept, and had the dream. In this quote unquote dream, I was a few yards away from my house, from the house of my parents' house, right? Which were back in the day the place where I lived. Of course, I was a teenager. I was a few yards away from, in the street. And then I remember what my colleague had said, and I looked down to my belly button, and voila, there was the silver cord there, like it's a spiritual and mystical thing, the silver cord. If you Google and research, you will read about it, a lot about it, lots of spiritualistic chains, of thought, talk about it, understand it as something, and recognize it, acknowledge it, recognize it. So it's an interesting thing, but it was there, okay. Well, this was a very interesting experience I had. I don't know why I never tried again. It happened only during that time, and I mentioned that to my colleague, and he said, like, I told you. It was cool, it was nice, it was funny, but I really never had this. But I know of people who do it and are very proficient, as my other friend I mentioned, and they end up having pretty inspirational thoughts and ideas coming from this. So as I said, I believe that when we dream, I believe I'm a spiritualistic person, as I said before, meaning I believe in soul. I believe that we're not only flesh and bones and matter, right? Our consciousness is is not a product of biology. Okay, it is inserted in the biology, is connected directly to our biological parts, but it's not like totally there. I think that, in other words, I believe in life after death, basically, right? So I really believe that when we're dreaming, no matter the type of dream, there is some spiritual element involved in that. Like, because honestly, I believe that the spiritual world is around us, and when we start sleeping, our soul gets somehow freed, momentarily, of course, otherwise we die, right? From our body, and we're able to experiment the contact with the other side of our world, which I like to call the real world, the spiritual world, right? So this is why I think that dreaming is so important. One of the things I need to be better in my life is to, be calmer, calm down before bedtime, so I can have like more lucid dreaming, and consequently, if my theory is correct, be a more inspired person and having more and better ideas to my life. So that's it. Basically, I really suggest you start paying more attention to your dreams. That does not mean by any means, doesn't mean anyhow that all dreams you have mean something. There are crazy and nonsense ones. This is normal. This is, as I said, at the end of the day, a biological reaction. Okay, our brain cooling down, chilling, rebooting somehow for the next day. So of course, a lot of twisted and mixed thoughts, or pieces of thoughts, memories, experiences we've had during the day, that day and the days before, will hash together and create some conflict, some I don't know, some crazy and no without any sense of dreaming, right? But apart from that, I really suggest you pay more attention. You start to have a better environment and routine before you go to bed, because if everything I read about it and people that tell me about this, the lucid dreaming and getting better experience from dreaming, it's true, it all comes down to your routine. The moment you open your eyes to the moment you go to bed, it all has to be balanced, in order to achieve these results, right? So this is a homework for me. So if you want to come with me, I just leave this suggestion out there. All right, this is it for this episode, guys. Thank you so very much for your usual lovely company, and I see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye.